Greetings, History 141 students. John Fia here with Virtual Office Hours episode, what are we on, 13. Megan Piet, the producer, is here with us. I got the Founding Fathers with us, and we're ready to talk some American Revolution. We have been still focusing on the Revolution. We had about 3 lectures related to the coming of the Revolution. Remember last week in seminar we talked about Common Sense by Thomas Paine. And this week in seminar we discussed the Declaration of Independence. So when you think about the Declaration of Independence, obviously put the Declaration of Independence in its proper context. Most of you are aware of that. You know, we're now about 6 months removed from Thomas Paine's Common Sense. The Continental Congress, the Second Continental Congress, has decided to declare independence from England, and we spent a lot of time in our seminar, actually all of our time in our seminar, on studying the Declaration and what the Declaration means. What I want you to do is I want you to see the Declaration of Independence as a historical document. What did this document mean in the context of the 18th century, the context of the spring and summer of 1776, when it was written and when it was endorsed and when it was signed? So often we think about the Declaration of Independence in terms of what it became later on as a symbol or a model of individual rights or natural rights, or the fact that our rights are endowed by our Creator. What I tried to suggest in my seminar, at least, is that all of these ideas, that our natural rights come from God, that we have certain inalienable rights, that all men are created equal, and so forth. There's nothing new in these ideas. These were very, very British ideas. And when Thomas Jefferson is writing those ideas in the first couple of paragraphs, he's really drawing on this, his sort of sense of Britishness, his understanding of British political philosophy, whether you want to say it's John Locke or others. But again, later on with the abolition movement, the women's rights movement, even Lincoln at Gettysburg, drawing upon those first 2 paragraphs for some kind of ideals, that doesn't come until later. And I think it's important to realize that. Remember, the Declaration of Independence, if we were to think about its original intent, and we talk about the original intent of the Constitution all the time, but what did the framers want to do? And I think they wanted to do simply what the document says. They wanted to create a Declaration of Independence. In many ways, this was a foreign policy document to announce to the world that the British colonies, the 13 British colonies, were no longer going to be part of the British Empire, and perhaps to appeal to other nations for help, or to declare to other nations, hey, we now have a war to fight. We could use your assistance, or at least we just want you to recognize us. So I want you to think more about what the Declaration of Independence would have meant at the time it was written, not what it has become. One historian has said the Declaration of Independence has become sort of an American scripture that we appeal to for our natural rights, or our right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, or so forth. But that was not the primary meaning of the document in the 18th century. Now, the document also includes a long list of grievances. And in my seminar, at least, we went through some of those grievances. I could give you an exam in which I list all of the grievances, and I asked you to connect each grievance with one of the acts or one of the taxes or one of the things that Britain had done to the colonists in the years between 1765 and 1776, whether it be the Coercive Acts, the Stamp Act, the Townshend Duties, the Quartering Act, or a host, the Declaratory Act, or a host of different things. If you look at each of those grievances, you can connect those grievances to something that happened in those years that would prompt the colonists to write these grievances or express these grievances in the Declaration of Independence. So again, I think the grievances are important. Connect those with the events of the past that we discuss and the original intent of the Constitution. Now, I want to just go back to that original intent real quick to end here. listen to this quote. This is a quote that Thomas Jefferson wrote later in life. He wrote it to his fellow Virginian, Henry Lee. And in here he describes why he and the committee wrote the Declaration of Independence, or what the purpose was. Jefferson says, "When forced, therefore, to resort to arms for redress, an appeal to the tribunal of the world was deemed proper for our jurisdiction." In other words, we are going to appeal to the world, we're going to declare to the world our independence. And Jefferson then goes on to say, this was the object of the Declaration of Independence. Not to find out new principles or new arguments never before thought of, but to place before mankind the common sense of the subject in terms so plain and firm as to command their assent and to justify ourselves in the independent stand we are compelled to take. Notice what Jefferson says. The idea is not to introduce new forms of political philosophy. There's nothing uniquely American about those first two paragraphs of the Declaration of Independence. This is a foreign policy document to appeal to what Jefferson says the tribunal of the world, to declare what we have just done on July 4, 1776. So think about the Declaration of Independence that way as you begin to process it, and think about it in light of the larger lectures, the other lectures and other readings we've done in the Revolution. And I'll see you in class.